Could bears survive in Africa? The other day, after I made the video, Could tigers live in Africa? I've been thinking, and I realized that although there are other species of big cats in Africa, there are no bear species on this continent. But why? Bears are mammals that belong to the family Ursidae. They can be as small as 4 feet long and about 60 pounds, the sun bear, to as big as 8 feet long and more than 1,000 pounds, the polar bear. They're found throughout North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. They have non-retractable claws, short tails, and excellent sense of smell. They're typically solitary, except for mothers with cubs. There are 8 species: Asiatic black bears, also called moon bears, brown bears, which include grizzly bears, giant pandas, North American black bears, polar bears, sloth bears, spectacled bears, also called Andean bears, and sun bears. But no one lives in Africa. Stay with us until the end to find out together why there is no bear in this land. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell to be up to date with all the videos that will be posted. Brown bears can be found in many habitats, from the fringes of deserts to high mountain forests and ice fields. In Europe, the brown bear is mostly found in mountain woodlands. In Siberia, it occurs primarily in forests, while in North America they prefer tundra, alpine meadows, and coastlines. The species' main requirements are areas with dense cover in which they can shelter by day. Wild creatures are abundant in Africa. The African plains are home to lions, rhinoceros, hippos, and zebras. On top of that, the continent is home to millions of insects and birds. Why aren't there any bears in Africa? Bears are carnivores that have adapted to forests, mountains, and deserts, so on the face of it, their absence from Africa seems surprising. At the moment, there are no bear species in Africa. There was a time when the brown bear roamed the Atlas Mountains, where they were once native. They'd made their way from Europe all the way to the top of Africa. Today, that's no longer the case. The bear population has become extinct in Africa, alongside declining numbers in Europe. There are a few reasons why there are no African bears today. For one, African bears need lots of space to roam around in order to find food. But over the years, humans have been encroaching on their territory and building settlements and farms that take up this land. As a result, the bears have been forced into smaller and smaller areas, making it difficult for them to survive. Next is competition between animals. African bears were believed to be herbivores and scavengers. As humans and other animals adapted, the bears fell behind. They weren't as good at finding food and eventually died out. Lastly, we have poaching. Humans have hunted wild animals for centuries, and as a result, some species have been hunted to extinction. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you that if you want to watch more videos about animals, even prehistoric animals, I recommend you subscribe to the WildFacts channel. I leave the link in the description. Thanks. Were there ever any bears in Africa? Whilst I claim that there are no bears in Africa, there is, in fact, evidence that there has been. Atlas bears, Ursus arctos crowtheri, lived in North Africa and were a subspecies of brown bear. They covered much of Moroccan, Libyan, and Tunisian mountains and forests. They had slightly more orange fur and a shorter face more reminiscent of their Miocene relatives. It is believed the Atlas bear was hunted to extinction, first by the Romans who used them for sport in their colosseums, and later by other hunters. The last Atlas bear was killed in the 1870s. In recent history, no bear has naturally lived in sub-Saharan Africa. The only bear species known to have inhabited this part of the world is the extinct Ursid Agriotherium africanum, which lived in sub-Saharan Africa until around 1.5 million years ago. Bear evolution reveals that Agriotherium africanum were formidable combatants with the largest bite of any bear ever known. Because of their sheer size, theories suggest the bears were able to bully other animals off carrion, such as bovines, horses, camelids, and rhinoceroses. However, with omnivore habits, this African bear was thought to be at home eating fruit and plants. Agriotherium is believed to have become extinct just over 2.6 million years ago, at the end of the Pliocene period. Can a bear survive in Africa? Yes, bears could live in the Atlas Mountains, as they once did. However, it's very unlikely that a bear would be able to survive in Africa today, as they aren't adapted to the environment. There were once native bears in Africa. These were adapted to the African conditions and could possibly live there again. However, bears that have adapted to other conditions may not be able to live there. The climate is much hotter and drier than it is in other parts of the world where bears live. In addition, I believe that the climate in North Africa, where Atlas bears lived, is now much warmer than it was a few hundred years ago due to global warming. Africa also has a lot of dangerous animals that could kill a bear, such as lions, hyenas, and crocodiles. But I don't think that would be a problem, because brown bears are omnivores. Bears used to live in Africa, but now they only inhabit parts of Europe, Asia, South America, and North America. Honestly, it is hard for me to believe that nowadays a bear could survive in Africa if we are talking about brown bears. In the case of polar bears, it is clear that they have no chance of being introduced to Africa. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. Until next time, farewell.